Hello everybody, this is Jeremiah and Michaela Harrison with Liturgy of the Home, and today we want to make a short video going through this month's monthly dedication image for the month of May, which is dedicated to Our Lady. And we have a little special surprise, for we also have a little interview with Michaela's brother David, who is helping us by making the musical part. So I'll let them go into that. But did you want to go? We want to talk about the image first.
Yes.
All right, very good. So we have, as you can see on screen, this is what Michaela's put together for this month. Tell us about this image.
So, as many of you know, the Feast of Our Lady of Fatima, the first time that Our Lady appeared to the three children was on May 13th. So that's a special feast day in the month of May. We also have the Queenship of Mary at the end of the month. I believe it's on the 31st? 30th. So the Queenship of Mary. So I when I was trying to come up with the image for this monthly dedication, I was keeping a lot of these different factors in mind. So in the very center, we have Our Lady of Fatima and how her clothing and attire are. And that's taken from a statue that we have in our home. It's been in our family for decades. I think it came to my grandmother when I was a baby, and now I have the honor of having it in my home.
It was a pilgrim statue.
It was a pilgrim statue of Our Lady. So can we show them a quick picture
of
our statue?
Here, I'm going to go to the end here. There it is.
There it is. So this is the statue we have in our living room, and we pray a rosary before this statue. So I really love it. So I wanted to make
that's one of the children, isn't it?
That's one of the children of Fatima. I made a set of 3 peg dolls of the 3 children of Fatima, and it's up there just because I lost the other 2, and I'm waiting to find them under the couch somewhere. Anyway, so back to the to the image here.
Now, 2 things I want to notice. So May the 13th was on the Easter 2 calendar we just released, and that's actually Ascension Thursday.
Right.
So the feast day right now fell on the same time as the Ascension.
Yeah, there really wasn't room to do any justice to Our Lady of Fatima on this particular calendar because it aligned with the Ascension. But anyway, we'll do something in October.
I suppose, but it's kind of neat. She got her place here on the monthly dedication.
I guess so.
That's
I guess
what
so.
she did.
The other thing that's really interesting, so the Feast of the Queenship of Mary, the hymn of Vespers is the Ave Maris Stella, which is Hail, was it Star of the Sea?
Star of the Sea.
And actually, if we could go back to the picture of our statue.
Sure.
So another little family story. So see this background? It's a tapestry. This has also been in my dad's family for generations and was given to them, I think, also around the same time when I was really, really young. A woman in San Francisco wove this, and it's the ocean, and we decided to put it behind our Blessed Mother. And so I thought, wow, here's Our Lady, Star of the Sea. So anyway, okay, we can go back to the picture. I'll talk about some of the other elements. So when we were coming up with the composition for this image, I talked with my brother David about the content because he's been helping with getting the music prepared, and then I've been working on the image, and so we kind of collaborate. We'll talk about that more later. But some of the elements in the image we kind of brainstormed from the hymn. So I'll talk about a few of those. So a lot of people notice right away there's the Eva and the Ave. And in the
That's
hymn...
the thing that stands out most to me when I look at it.
And that comes from a part of the hymn where it talks about Eve's name being changed. So changing Eva's name is one of the in the hymn. And so on the left side there with Eva, you have Eve with the snake, and she's kind of covering her face with her hands. But then on the opposite side, you have the Gabriel's Ave, and he's looking up to her, up to Our Lady. And then at the top, I put our Lord. I put the Trinity up at the top for the coronation because the Queenship of Mary, and so you have the 12 stars. Like
in Revelation.
Yeah. And then you notice Our Lady has a crown of roses because it's traditional in the month of May to do May crownings. And so the children will come and put a crown of flowers on Our Lady. And so that's why that crown is there. The ocean is obviously there.
What's going on the bottom? There's a kind of a procession.
So I don't. Some of you may know, but one of Our Lady's requests at Fatima was that, what's it called? The thing that the children carry?
The beer?
The beer, I think is what it's called. It's the thing that you carry the statue on. So Our Lady requested when Saint Lucia, or is it one of the girls asked Our Lady what to do with the money that they were being given. And Our Lady said, have 2 of these made, one for the boys to carry and one for the girls to carry on my feast. It might have been Our Lady of the Rosary feast at that time. I'm not remembering which feast it was, but Our Lady wanted her statue carried, the boys to carry one, the girls to carry another, and then the rest of the money was to go to a future the shrine that would be there. So that resonated with me. I thought, Our Lady asked for this. So this is a girls carrying Our Lady at the bottom. They're all dressed in beautiful dresses and veils like Our Lady. Somebody asked, why aren't there boys? And I was like, well, in a real procession, the boys would probably end up being the altar servers, or you could have 2 different ones, like Our Lady talked about. There just wasn't room in this composition, so it's not that the boys don't matter. I just couldn't fit them in.
The girls get to get featured this time.
Yes, this time. And then you have the garden, the flowers all around them. And I noticed some of these things just kind of come as you're working, but I realized with the ocean, the way the waves kind of came about, it almost looks like the waves are kind of parting a little bit on either side of Our Lady, and almost reminding me of like the Red Sea parting and bringing the children
of Israel walking through
and into the garden. And so it's like with all the stormy things going on in our world right now, and those that are faithful to Our Lady, she will bring us through the difficulties and bring us, to the beauties of paradise. So these children kind of represent that. So at first when I did the design, I think you were a little worried it was too much stuff going on, right?
Well, I don't know how she pulls it off, but she does. She did.
I think the monochromatic helps it.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh well. Yeah. You definitely have to have the differentiation of colors. There's layers. I mean, basically, you have the layers of meaning and the shapes and then the colors, and so.
I also felt like once it was finished, I was looking at it, I thought it almost looks a little bit like a lighthouse in the sense that the way Our Lady's rays are showing. So. Anyway, should we pull David in now?
Yeah, I think so. That's going through the image part. Now we're going to bring in Michaela's brother David, who really helped us on the music score, and I'm going to let them talk about that. So I'm going to step out now. Come on in.
Have a seat. Here he is, my brother David.
Hello, everybody.
I'm so grateful to have his help. There is no way that we would be able to grow this project in this way without his help, and I'm so happy to be able to let him share a little bit about what he's been doing behind the scenes, and also so you see another of my family who's really putting his heart into this project. And so I guess I'll begin before I have you talk. I'll explain a little bit about why the music part is important, because many of you are probably attending Latin Mass. Your children are learning songs in Latin, which is wonderful. Our children do the same. One of the challenges has been helping the kids to learn what the songs mean, and that's not always as easy. And so part of our mission with Liturgy of the Home is to help children enter into the liturgy. So the hymn that's chosen to go with the monthly dedication is the hymn that's sung at Vespers for the feast most closely associated with it. So this is the hymn of Vespers for the Feast of the Queenship of Mary. But we do it in English, and the idea is that if the children can learn the song in English, but sing it to the traditional chant melody that they'll hear, then they'll really understand what the song is about when they're at liturgy. They'll be like, oh, I recognize that tune, and I've memorized the words, so even though they're hearing in Latin, they'll be able to put the two together. So this song, though, did not already readily have English put to the Latin chant.
Not that I could find, so.
Well, we looked. If any of you out there know, it was already done. Well, David has done the work of basically taking the the English words and putting them to the Latin chant. And has that been easy or hard?
It's been a little difficult. I really enjoy the work, but there's multiple ways that it can be done is the thing. So I first started trying to put the syllables in a way that's more similar to the Latin, but the English just didn't sound right with it, and it didn't flow well with the music. And so I tried several different combinations, and I even looked at chant has a different rhythm. There's like basically couplets and triplets, and there's a downbeat. It's called the ictus, and trying to line that up with the accents of the English words. And so I finally found a combination I really liked, but I still haven't done the recording finally yet, but it's coming along.
He's been
it's
up
very close.
late working on it. Can you tell them a little bit about some of your background in music?
So I've always loved music. It's just been a growing passion of mine. And once we moved to the monastery, voice became very special and dear to me. So I started more with piano. I really loved piano at one point, but really fell in love with voice and particularly like polyphony chant and different harmonies. I actually normally sing bass. I don't usually sing melodies. This is kind of new too, and that's why a lot of times I sing in a lower key. But a lot of people are saying that they actually like the lower key because most of the time it's too high for them. So hopefully
we're working on it.
Hopefully it benefits everyone else.
Tell them about a few of the classes that you've done and workshops you've done, just so you kind of get an idea.
Yeah, so I've kind of done different workshops, both in chant. So the monastery we live next to is such a blessing. They do a Gregorian chant weekend every year. So I've been to pretty much every one. So well over a dozen. And Father Bachman's wonderful, and my love for chant really grew with him. Mm-hmm. And more recently, CC Watershed is a big help in the whole musical world, and they put on some workshops, and I've been to a couple of those, and they've been such a blessing. They have just wonderful directors and great composition. The thing is, they're these composers. The directors also compose beautiful music. I think some of the most beautiful compositions for nowadays. And it's funny. There's actually a monk at the monastery. When he listened to one of the recordings, he didn't believe that the composer was alive today. He's like, no, this is someone who lived back in the 1500s. No, he was there. We met him. And so, that was Kevin Allen. He's awesome. In fact, I just heard he sent me a link to an interview he had, and it was amazing because he tied in art with music a lot through the interview. And a lot of things I've already been kind of thinking about, but art and music really have gone together very much in the liturgy, throughout the history and tradition of the church. And the music everything used to be sung a lot in mass, basically almost all the parts. I mean, not the homily, of course, but it used to be because in order to hear, they didn't have microphones and speakers and all this technology, so they had to project their voice in order to hear. So anything you hear was usually sung. And so music was very important in the liturgy. But then it was just audio. We have more senses than just the ear, right? We have our eyes, so we have incense for the sense of smell, right? But you need the art to see everything. So, and what art kind of teaches the faith through more of a spatial context, whereas music, it's more of a linear context, more of time. It's interesting, with my sister doing the calendars, there's a time aspect too in the art, which is really cool. But that's, in some ways, it almost reflects a certain musical. When I look at my sister's art, I almost see it in a musical way. There's a flow because it's the liturgical year that she's illustrating. And music's very much bound to time. You have to, it's. And Well, God's given to each their own talent. So I took piano lessons for 2 years. It was so difficult, and then I quit. And then I showed my brother the few things, the things that I had learned. And in 6 months, he'd already gone past what I had slaved with 2 years of practice. I was like,
music is difficult, but God's given him a gift. So I'm super grateful that you're helping us with this. Do you want to say anything about this particular hymn and any thoughts that you have as you're preparing the song? I don't know, any of the particular things.
So I guess when I'm trying to go about, arranging a song, looking at the music, and then also thinking about how I'm going to sing it, I'm definitely, I'm trying to become as childlike as possible, I guess, in it, and really try to find, and it's so helpful when my sister actually makes the painting first, and I could look at her picture, really get inspiration, and really try to see what is the music really trying to communicate the song. And because music communicates directly to the appetites, is what Aristotle talks about, and the appetites is that bordering point between our soul and the rest of our body. It's like very much in, so it touches us very deeply, and it can really move our hearts in a powerful way. And so if a lot of musicians, they tend to just focus on almost the material aspects of the music without actually meaning what they're singing. And music, especially for the liturgy, is a ministry, right? You actually have to become what you're singing in order to actually convey what is being sung, in order to really communicate. So there's a difference, if you listen to chant, if you just have Chanticleer, it does beautiful chant, but it's not the same as a very holy monastery singing chant. There's something, so it takes a lot of work, for me to do it well. I feel like I have to get in the mode where I'm not just thinking about the notes and where I'm breathing and all this stuff, but I actually have to be praying, which is, it's hard, right? I actually have to sing it many times and work out things that I'm frustrated with, so I can actually be focused on what is being said, because especially kids will pick it up, right? Adults, maybe they're more distracted, maybe they're not thinking about it, but kids, they're like sponges. And so if I'm just trying to get the song right and I'm frustrated or whatever, the kids will pick that up. And so you really have to get past that, and really, by the time I'm done, I've pretty much memorized the piece, because I have to get to that point where I'm actually praying it while it's, and of course, you can't, I really want to do it all in one recording. I don't want to break it up in a bunch of little pieces and do a lot of editing. I want it to be as real as possible. So I have to really get a point where I could do it in one take. And so there's a lot going on. But I love the process. I've had actually this English translation of Ave Maria Stella memorized. Yeah. We prayed it in our consecration to Louis de Montfort.
To Louis de Montfort.
Yeah, right. The Louis de Montfort consecration to Our Lady, yes. Right? Yes. But so it's a very dear prayer of mine. But I realized when I started arranging it and putting it to the tune of the chant, I saw even more depth, and then seeing the art and the picture, I'm like, man, this whole thing's working well for me. It must do wonders for the kids.
Well, I wasn't even sure he's gonna be able to pull it off. We were actually considering doing another song that would have been easier, but David was willing to take the challenge on what was that called? Arranging it. Yeah. So this is an arrangement that he has been working on. And
at first I said it wouldn't work, but then I'm like, actually, I think I could. Yeah, I looked at it a little more. And then once it started coming together, I'm like, wow, okay, it really is working well now. It's almost discovering something that was always there, but it came across as looking impossible in the beginning, but then it just it really started fitting together well. And I think
you were also saying that the chant for this one is a little different of a chant than some of the other ones.
So this chant, I think it's a 66 meter, basically. So different in the realm of poetry, and music, there's different there's a different meter per verse, right? And this 1 meter was it's the only one I could find in a lot of the hymnals. It's very unique. And so it's pretty much just the Latin Ave Maria Stella. There's not a lot of crossover other things. So and it's a tricky chant. It's very unique and special, and it's kind of got some, even in Latin, it's kind of got some unusual exceptions. You don't find a lot of other hymns, but I feel like it actually fits really well with the content of the song, because we're crying out to Our Lady to kind of pull us from our knots and, lift us from the sea, and like it's very much crying out to Our Lady to help in this whole process of salvation. And so it's the little bit of almost like messiness actually, I think, is like really fitting. It's kind of interesting. So I've really enjoyed it a lot. So.
Well, good. I really wanted people that are following our stuff to get to see who's been working on this. And David is mostly finished with it, but we haven't quite finished it yet. We're going to hopefully release it in the next maybe few days or something. He'll get to work on it
very soon, as soon as possible.
So you, with God's help. So you have the image and the calligraphy, you have the hymn, the words. We'll be releasing the audio whenever David finishes, and then the coloring page that goes along with it. So we hope you enjoy it, and you hope you enjoyed getting to see a little behind the scenes. So that's it. Thank you.